From large cities to small towns to the rural heartland, from sea to shining sea. This is Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.
Welcome back to another edition of Inside the News. Glad to have you with us. And Frank Vernuccio and Ben Brunson, all three of us are on board. How you doing today, Ben?
President-elect Guy, it's a good pleasure to be with you, and President-elect Frank once again, and I'm President-elect Ben Brunson.
Oh my goodness. Well, you know what? We might as well, because nobody is president-elect until the actual votes are in as far as electoral college. Frank Vernuccio, how are you doing up there, and what state are you in this week?
The departing state of New York, where 300,000 people have left the island of Manhattan. Not to mention the people who have departed from the New York City public school system. New York City is beginning to look like that last helicopter out of Saigon.
I think they're coming down here to Florida, and quite frankly, I can only speak for myself and not Ben, and I'll let Ben weigh in on this, but you can have them back. What do you say about that, Ben?
If you come down here and vote the way you did in New York, please stay out of Florida.
Well, yeah, they're plugging up the roads, and they're going to bring the COVID down with us. And COVID, we're going to talk about all of that. Any thoughts before we get to Frank here, Ben? Just any side thoughts over there?
Well, it's going to get worse in New York because all the Democrats are excited about the looming lockdowns, and they believe they have a president-elect who will be on their side. So you're seeing it in Michigan and Illinois and New York, and the excitement level is high once again. The governor of New Jersey's on board. Let's shut it all down.
Speaking about excitement level, there, we just upped the ante on the show. The excitement level.
Wait a minute, Guy. Are you sure that they haven't canceled Christmas the way they're trying to cancel Thanksgiving?
Well, you know, and we're going to talk about all of this, but the Green New Deal, if they get their way, they will cancel any way of making electricity. I mean, they want to do solar power. There's no way they can do it for the whole United States. They want to cancel coal and fracking. And I mean, am I somewhat correct on that there, Ben?
Well, the cost of energy would certainly go up pretty significantly. That is the economist's answer in me.
Yeah, just
and that's going to be a fact if they have their way.
Oh my goodness. Okay, Frank, let's start with topic number one. And this one's I don't know if we're going to get them all in or not. Can America get past this election, and will Trump pull off a recount, or is it a done deal, fait accompli?
Not a fait accompli, not a done deal. It'll depend, quite frankly, on the honesty and integrity of court systems. The fact of the matter is, the Trump campaign has a very valid case. Let me put it this way. Assume I robbed a bank, but only took half the money in the bank. I was then caught, brought before a judge, hopefully in my case, a very liberal judge. And I said, Your Honor, you know, I only robbed half the money in the bank. You shouldn't put me in jail. Well, isn't it the same thing with what we're saying with this election? The defense the Democrats seem to be mounting at this point in time is that, well, yeah, maybe there are some irregularities, but it wasn't really enough to change the nature of the outcome. Does that excuse wide-scale cheating on the part of the Democrats if they can make a case that it didn't really change the outcome in any particular state? The fact is, there was massive cheating, there were massive irregularities, and to dismiss it by holding up a standard of proof, saying that, well, you can prove cheating, but maybe not enough to change the outcome, that's a pretty low standard.
This is point number three, but I'm going to kind of integrate it here, Ben. But Biden is really trying to push to get this thing running and going. And it kind of reminds me of the football team that the play is questionable if he was out of bounds or not out of bounds, or did he make the catch or not make the catch. The replay officials are there, and they're trying to rush to the line of scrimmage to get off the next play before the results are in so that they can advance the ball. Does that a good analogy here, Ben?
I'll use a sports analogy in honor of the Masters tournament, which was just played this past weekend. This is like having a 20-foot birdie putt to win and turning to everyone and saying, hey, let's just call it a gimme. I'm going to pick up my ball and assume that I made that 20-foot putt, no problem. Look, I'm going to run through some numbers very briefly, just so everyone understands, because there's a lot of discussion about what's at stake and whether or not Trump still has a chance. The left-stream media has called this for Biden 304 to 234 in terms of electoral vote by awarding states that are still in dispute. The undisputed electoral college count right now is Biden 212, Trump 234. If you take I would call it a realistic look at where Trump can win, and you look at the 3 states of Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan, and you give those states to Trump, and you give the other states that are in dispute, Arizona, Nevada, Virginia, and Wisconsin, which are still being reviewed right now.
Okay, so you have 3 on one side and you have 5 on the other side of the states. Those are 8 states.
4 on the other side. Trump wins 286 to 252 if Georgia, Pennsylvania, and Michigan are awarded to Trump. Now, in Georgia, you had voter fraud in and around Atlanta, and you have a Republican governor in Brian Kemp and a Republican administration, so you have a friendly audience helping in the recount. So there's reason to believe that could flip. Pennsylvania, massive fraud. In Philadelphia, hundreds of thousands of votes stuffed in the system. Most of those clearly violating the laws of the state. So if any honest judge shows up, that flips. In Michigan, you had the same thing on a slightly smaller scale. It all happened in Detroit. At least 120,000 or so votes that were flooded into the system in the middle of the morning on November 4th. Illegally, without any oversight. Those violated Michigan law. If you have an honest judge there, those votes will all be thrown out. And in that case, not only would Trump win Michigan, but the Mr. James, the GOP senator, would win that GOP race for the Senate, because those votes also flipped, illegal votes flipped that to the Democrat. So there's a lot in the line. This is far from over. Yes, it is an uphill battle for Donald Trump for all the reasons we've talked about on the show. But if honesty and integrity matters at all, if there's still a judicial system that cares about the rule of law, Trump should be declared the president.
Okay, Frank, we were talking about the Dominion and the software. We're going to talk about that right now. And you used a piece of software for fitness, and you were out there running and doing your steps, but it was actually plugged into the Dominion system. So you just went out to your mailbox and back, and it already logged in 4 million steps. That's amazing.
Yeah, there's so many questions about Dominion software, and Ben was mentioning off air that Dominion is an organization that is part of a larger organization dominated by heavy Democrat donors. Look, there is an importance to challenging what has gone on in the 2020 election that even supersedes the election, the 2020 election itself. If we just simply buy into what the media and the Democrats are telling us, just shut up and go away, we will, as a society, have condoned wide-scale cheating. This could well be the last even remotely decent election, because cheating will have become legitimized. We have laughed about this for far too long. We've had a boys will be boys type attitude about large-scale Democrat cheating. Oh yeah, in the election in 1960, a bunch of machines in Illinois from Republican areas just happened to fall into the Chicago River. Ha, 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 isn't that funny? We laughed when we had driver's licenses issued to illegal aliens in California, which were then used to register to vote. Isn't that hilarious? Just let it go. What's the big deal? We laughed when ballot harvesting was adopted in so many states. Oh, well, it's just Democrats being Democrats. Let it go. What difference does it make? Bit by bit, piece by piece, for over several decades now, we have accepted and legitimized wide-scale Democrat cheating. We've got to put a stop to this, not just for the 2020 election, but for the integrity of this republic going forward.
You know, those are great points, Ben. And the fact of the matter is, yes, I mean, I can remember back the Black Panthers back in the day in Philadelphia where they were actually threatening people. And Frank, I see that you're kind of bobbing your head on that because you remember that as well. And if we just take this as, okay, this is what's happened here and move on, I dare say there will not be another fair election in this country's history, and it will go the way of Venezuela, Ben.
Well, I think we have gone that way. I think we're there. So it's already happened. It already exists. This election was stolen. You can see the evidence of the correct and true vote all over the place. It was, in fact, a Republican wave. Even in California, you have GOP House races flipping back to the Republican Party that were won by the Democrats in recent elections. It was a clear wave. In New York, you had a 10 percentage point swing towards Donald Trump in New York, and most of that vote had to come in New York City. So there is all sorts of evidence that shows around the periphery that this was a Republican wave in favor of Donald Trump. The current polling shows Donald Trump with an approval of 52%, which is in essence the vote in the election campaign that just took place. That is the same as asking who you just voted for. 52% of the population approves of Donald Trump's job performance as president. So that is the reality. This vote was stolen through ballot harvesting on a major scale in a handful of Democratic cities that swung the states of Michigan, Pennsylvania, I believe Wisconsin, and Georgia as well. So, and maybe other states. But again, I ran through the numbers. We have 3 states. We have to have the correct vote count, legal vote count. And if that happens, Donald Trump will win re-election. So uphill battle, but far from over. And you have to pray that the right thing happens here. And hopefully there'll be a bipartisan effort to set standards that will result in free and fair elections. Florida has done it well. Florida is a swing state. There's many Democrats as Republicans in Florida. Florida has done it well, and it was a result of the 2000 debacle. But if you took the standards employed in Florida and applied them nationwide, you would actually have a free and fair election nationwide.
Oh, my goodness. Frank, I know you have a thought on that.
Let's take a look at individual situations. You outlined Pennsylvania with the Black Panthers and the history of cheating coming on a massive scale from Philadelphia. If we look at Michigan, in the city of Detroit, there are literally miles of decayed and vacant housing. I've been informed by contacts that those decayed and absent vacant housing, that ballots were mailed to them and subsequently collected on a large scale. You know, if we look at those 2 cases in and of itself, you know, here in New York, we've got a saying, in your face. It's one thing to cheat, you know, surreptitiously, but what we saw in Michigan and Pennsylvania was cheating in your face. Here it is, we're cheating, what are you gonna do about it? And that's exactly the tenor of this election. If we don't get honest judges, or if we can't appeal these decisions if they go against Donald Trump to the US Supreme Court and get some justice there, we will not only have an illicit election, but we'll have an election that clearly says the law no longer applies. And frankly, that's been coming for some time. Everyone knows that Hillary Clinton violated the law with her emails and so many other ways. But in your face, so what? She's not getting prosecuted. There is a lack of respect on the significant part of the Democratic Party for the law. The success of the Democratic Party to them is more important than the success of the United States of America.
You know what, Ben? He's exactly right. In your face, you know, what you going to do about it? I mean, that's very much a New York thing, isn't it, Frank? What you going to do about it?
Well, look, it is the reality. And unfortunately in Washington, D.C., everyone is in on the game. Everyone is aware that you can skirt the law And if you're on the right team, if you're aligned with the right Democrats, you are above the law. And that is the reality of where we are. We have Andrew McCabe, while he was number 2 and overseeing the email investigation, his wife received $850,000 from Clinton-controlled entities. That's a matter of public record. It's not my theory. It is a public fact. When she ran for the state Senate in Virginia, the one and only time she was engaged in politics. You can go on, but no one's being held to account. Bill Barr has failed. Maybe Trump will win re-election and Bill Barr can prove himself. But, we're in a dismal state right now.
All right, we've got to take our first time out. We have not even talked about the Great Reset. This is interesting. You're going to want to know about that. And what's the worldview of what's going on with Biden? There's a lot more going on. This is Inside the News. Wayman Brunson and Vernuscio. We'll be back.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuscio, Inside the News.
Other travel services, call now. That's right, call. That's the only way to get these rates. Experts are standing by 24/7 to get you the cheapest airfare and hotel rates available. So don't wait. Call right now for the lowest travel prices anywhere and for great last-minute travel deals too.
Call 888-431-0562. That's 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562. 888-431-0562.
Dish TV is better than cable TV. Here's why. Dish has the nation's lowest TV price, along with an award-winning DVR that can skip commercials, record 8 shows at once, and get access to thousands of movies at your fingertips. Cable simply can't even compare. So the smart choice is to cut the cable and get Dish. Plus, you get all these great TV features, free HD DVR upgrade, free installation, and free movie channels. Say goodbye to cable and get more with Dish TV. 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. As an added bonus, you can switch to Dish now and receive a $50 Visa gift card. So call now and get Dish TV. Call 877-290-7764, 877-290-7764. That's 877-290-7764. Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, monthly equipment fees, and other restrictions apply. Promotion can change at any time.
Friend, do you remember when it felt good to withdraw your cash from the bank to expand a business, go on vacation, or buy a new car? Well, today, withdrawing your own cash has become a very risky business, according to The Secret War, a shocking new research report. I just read it. And folks, I was amazed to learn why banks are now required to spy on us for the government and then report any suspicious or unusual behavior. I suggest you get The Secret War free. Just call the number on the screen, no charge, from the folks at Swiss America, and get this. Did you know simply spending cash today may be enough to have you branded as a potential criminal? That's right. The new war on cash is really a war against all freedom-loving Americans. The Secret War is yours free, so call the number on the screen and you can tell them Pat Boone gave you the number.
Intelligent talk that's sure to raise the IQ. Here's Guy Wayman, Ben Brunson, and Frank Vernuscio, Inside the News.
Welcome back to Inside the News. Glad to have you with us, our international segment, and we're still going to be covering some of what's going on with the election and some of the fallout. Ben Brunson, he's in the bottom middle. Top left is Frank Vernuscio. My name's Guy Wayman. I'm in the top right with the Christmas tree behind me. And you know what? There's some good things happening here. We've got, this is Thanksgiving week coming up. We'll give our Thanksgiving wishes at the end of the program. And then Christmas just a few weeks away. And yes, we say Christmas on this show. Okay, Ben, worldview, what's going on?
Well, the world's very excited about President-elect Joe Biden because it's the good times are back once again. Just one practical implication of many. And not only are the global environmentalists all excited that they're going to have an acquiescent United States, But the Remainers in Britain are excited and energized once again. And it looks like Brexit and the completion of a Brexit, this has been a story that's been going on for a long time. But Brexit appears to be in danger once again, a true Brexit where the UK can regain its sovereignty and leave the EU and be an independent nation. It's what the people of the UK want. But the deep staters in London have thwarted this all along and in Brussels. And Boris Johnson seems to be caving to the Remainer vote inside, the Remainer sentiment inside his own Tory party. So there are practical implications all across the board. The Chinese, as we've talked about on recent shows, have reasserted themselves. They're cracking down on what is left of the independence movement inside Hong Kong. They're arresting people. They're being more militant and more aggressive in the South China Sea with their military. So there are ramifications everywhere. Huawei, one of our favorite companies, is already reaching out to the incoming Biden people to say, hey, we want to come back in and supply our equipment to you once again so that China can spy on everything the West does, which is the only reason Huawei exists.
All right, Huawei, that's one of your favorite companies, isn't it, Frank?
Yeah, it certainly is. Let's take a run around the world to see how a Biden presidency would affect American interest, and in fact, world interest. In Europe, one of the chief hopes that I think that the conservative element in Europe had was that American energy production would free Europe from dependence on Russia for its energy and from the political gains that Russia would gain from having total sway over European energy. Well, if Biden rejoins the Paris Climate Accords, if he goes through with his attacks that he's implied and stated against fracking, against development of fossil fuel energy, so forth in the United States, that would leave Europe once again heavily dependent on Russia for its energy supplies, and the political implications of that are vast. Let's look at the Middle East. From the very beginning of the Trump administration, his outreach and his success, for example, with Saudi Arabia, and the subsequent peace deals that have occurred, have all been dependent on a level of trust that the United States would stand up to Iran. Well, now we have an administration that has, in the past, in terms of Obama-Biden, tilted towards Iran, favored Iran, signed off on a treaty which allowed Iran within X number of years to build nuclear weapons. There is no reason any longer, and under a Biden presidency, to hope that peace in the Middle East can continue or to grow. In fact, it'll go right back to being the danger spot it has been. Let's look at Asia. And I'm going to be as blunt as I possibly can. China has a president that they've bought and paid for in Joe Biden. If that's the case, do you really believe that China Joe, bought and paid for by Beijing, would stand up to China's aggressive attitude in potential invasion of Taiwan, incursion into other areas of the middle of Asia, including Vietnam and others? Those countries will have no choice under a China Joe presidency but to tilt towards China. Those are the extraordinary implications of a Biden presidency.
This is the first I've heard the phrase China Joe. Now, maybe you guys have heard it before. If not, we've just coined it right here with Frank. You know what, Ben? You were shaking your head when he said that, but that's right spot on, isn't it?
Well, it used to apply to Joe Stilwell, the American general who had such a heavy role in China before and during World War II. Now it applies to Joe Biden. You know, 4 years ago, we had this fictitious narrative that Vladimir Putin owned Donald Trump and had, as Adam Schiff liked to call, compromat or compromising information on Donald Trump. That was all fantasy. It was all fictitious. It was all made up by the Democratic Party and the left stream media. However, Joe Biden is in actuality owned and controlled by Beijing. Beijing has paid millions of dollars to the Biden family through Hunter Biden and James Biden, Joe Biden's brother. And that is a fact. It is well documented. It's not theory. It is not our theory. It is a fact. So they actually have massive amounts of compromising information on the Biden. So as Frank said, you can only assume that Joe Biden will be a compliant, subservient force to not only the EU, but to China. And we have to talk about the Great Reset in an upcoming segment here. But we have a lot of things that are being unleashed. Donald Trump was really the wall between American interests and a lot of bad progressive ideology that the rest of the world wants to impose on America to drive us into the ground and make us a chattel nation to the rest of the world. And that, without Donald Trump, those doors and forces are unleashed.
You know something, Frank, and you got about 10 seconds to respond here, but Donald Trump was that singular person who had the stamina to fight off the attacks and still look out for America's best interests.
It's fascinating that the left was revulsed at the thought of an American president who said, let's put America first. The president of the United States is, after all, the employee of the American people. It's his duty to put American first. It's fascinating how the left hated the idea.
That was Frank Vernusio. You can find him at usagovpolicy.com. He's with the American Voice, America's News Minute.
America Analysis of News and Media at usagovpolicy.com.
Yes, and the Minute Report for America. That's what I was trying to get to. And then Ben Brunson with the Falstaff Enigma and Esther Sling. You can find Ben's books at amazon.com. Great Christmas presents, and benbrunson.com. Here's another one right here. We'll be back.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernusio, Inside the News.
Mom, thank God you're going to be okay.
So relieved. But you both should know when my time comes, I have a final expense policy with Senior Care USA.
Is Senior Care USA the life insurance policy that helps loved ones pay for funeral expenses and other debts? Bill and I called to get more information.
Yes, and there's an immediate payout of up to $50,000.
If you're over 50, call Senior Care USA now to learn more about final expense insurance plans.
There's no medical exam, even if you have a pre-existing condition like I do. When I called, the quote was free, and there was no pressure.
I found out that policies start for as little as 35 cents a day. Rates will never increase and coverage won't decrease.
I'm going to call today.
Ask about the free prescription discount card. Oh, I'm so glad you'll be taken care of.
Call 1-800-822-7419. That's 1-800-822-7419.
But is it? It's really just the beginning, right? Have you written a book and want it published but don't know where to start? You're not alone. Page Publishing cuts through the confusion that most new authors face, like copyright protection, barcodes, printing, and digital uploading. We will get your book into bookstores now. We guide you through the publishing maze and help you distribute and sell your work in hard copy and ebook formats. That's right. We will digitize and place your book for sale on Amazon, Apple iBooks, and Google, offering it to millions. Don't waste another minute. Most publishers won't even look at new author submissions, but we're different. We review your book and provide you feedback in about a week. If we decide to publish your book, your work ends and ours begins. From copy editing and proofing to typesetting and book cover art, our team gets you into bookstores fast.
Call 1-877-461-5033.
Does your current bathroom need to be updated immediately? Introducing One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling, the complete and hassle-free way to get the new bathroom of your dreams in as little as 1 day, and for as little as $199 a month. Yes, the experts at One Day Bath and Shower Remodeling will come to you anywhere in the country and show you all the customized options. Now you can have a brand new bathroom in as little as 1 day. Large or small bathrooms, if you want a new bathtub or shower installed, we can do it in as little as 1 day. And if you call right now, you can save $750 off your remodel. We make it easy by offering you financing as low as $199 per month. So for as little as $199 a month, you can finally have the bathroom of your dreams. Call now to schedule your free.
Getting to the heart of the matter. Back to Guy, Ben, and Frank with more Inside the News.
Welcome back to the program Inside the News. We're going to continue this as an election trail segment. We've got Ben Brunson. He's in the bottom middle. Frank Vernuccio in the top left. My name is Guy Wayman. All right, Frank, let's get right to it. We had a great discussion about multiple things on the off-air part during the commercial break here, but let's get right to it. The Dems are not happy that the Republicans took as many seats as they did in the House. And then let's connect up with that AOC, McCarthy is saying that AOC pretty much runs the Dems. And if AOC says let's vote, they vote. It's not Pelosi, it's AOC that does that, the bartender.
Well, let's move away from the presidential election and just look at what happened in the House. The Republicans have been inching closer and closer to a parity with the Democrats in the House of Representatives. They're not there yet, but they are certainly moving a lot closer. This has prompted a civil war within the Democrat Party. A couple of the old-line Democrats, however few are left, are saying this tilt towards socialism is destroying the chances the Democratic Party has. Even more so than the presidential election, the Republican gains in the House of Representatives are a referendum on what the Democratic Party has become. It is very difficult to oust an incumbent congressperson. They've done favors for people in the community. They've got a lot of outreach. So when you see substantial gains by the GOP in the House races, that's a clear signal that there's dismay with what the Democrats have become. So, Democratic,
Frank.
What's that?
I said continue, Frank.
Oh. So the Democrats are going to be fighting each other pretty diligently on what the future of the party is, whether it's going to be tilting towards people like Joe Manchin, unlikely, of course, or whether the AOCs are going to continue to basically be the power behind the power. That's going to be the fight. Now, we've seen some really, and I have to use this word, borrow it from Hillary Clinton, despicable characters in the Democratic Party become the power behind the power. We're talking about people like Ilhan Omar, who openly violates the law. We're talking about the candidate in Georgia, who says we have to eliminate everything that's whiteness in the United States. Is this really what the Democratic Party has become? I think we're going to find that fight is going to be fascinating to watch in the next couple of years.
Frank, you've nailed something here, that what the House is doing, and that is the big body, the People's House is what they call it there. And it seems like they can almost get away with anything in that body, and they can continue where the scrutiny is more on the presidency. And Ben, the Democrats are angry that they lost these seats.
Well, they're angry, but the issue of where the Democratic Party is going, to me, is settled, and it's settled by demographics. All of the energy and future of the party is in the youth. It's in the youth movement, the Bernie Bros movement, all of this youth that has embraced these socialistic ideas out of total ignorance. Again, if you explain what socialism means to a lot of these kids, they'll say, oh, that's terrible, we don't want that. But yet they turn around and embrace people who call themselves socialists in the Democratic Party, like AOC and Bernie Sanders. And this is where it's going. You have a very aged Democratic Party called the old school mainstream party, people like Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi, who's 80 years old, and they're going to die off. And the up and coming power within the party is clearly way to the left, and that's just a fact. So they're going to continue to gain more influence and gain more control. And that is why what Donald Trump represents is so critical to the GOP. You have even Democrats who recognize that Donald Trump has swung the GOP party back to being the party of the working class. It is filling the void that is being left behind as the Democratic Party moves ever more towards being just a party of coastal elites and young people who have their jobs or whatever they're doing, but they don't care about the heartland of this country because, gee, that's where people go to church and they own guns and all those evil things that people in New York and San Francisco hate. So that is the dynamic going on. Donald Trump absolutely represents the future of where the GOP has to go. And if that continues, the GOP has a very bright future and a very positive future. If we go back to the Mitt Romney view of the GOP, which is just the upscale alternative to the Democratic elitist movement, there is no future for the GOP. The GOP is done and dusted, as they say in the UK. And this is what's at stake. And that is, there are two battles going on. So there's a battle in the Democratic Party. I know which side's going to win. There's a battle in the Republican Party. I'm not at all clear which side is going to win that one.
Okay, Frank, I'm going to propose out something. The Senate's our last buffer zone. And then SCOTUS comes in there, the Supreme Court of the United States. And I don't know if it's going to swing as far right as what we think. And then the big question is, will Amy Coney Barrett, will she surprise us and maybe not as vote as far right as what we think? That's a big if, isn't it, Frank?
Well, the problem tends to be that conservative, or the so-called conservative judges, view the law independently. They view the law based on how the law is written. Liberal justices, on the other hand, view their role as advancing a left-wing agenda. And so when you have one side that is trying to be fair and the other side is just trying to take advantage and push an agenda, regardless of what it says in the Constitution or statutory law, there's a real disadvantage for the conservative side of the court there. Essentially, they're disarmed. And in fact, you see that on every level of the judicial system in the United States. We saw a travesty in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, where the judges unabashedly were ruling based on their political beliefs and totally ignored the Constitution. At the start of the Trump administration, where the president was trying to restrict immigration from places that were dangerous in terms of producing people who would be terrorists in the United States, the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals gave out decisions that basically said, we have more authority in immigration than the president, the elected president of the United States. And that's the real problem. We're playing on two sets of values in the judiciary. One that says a judge is simply supposed to apply the law, but the other side, the left side, the Democrat side, says, no, the court's supposed to be a super legislature, a super president who will decide that the people are too stupid to elect the right folks, and so therefore we will make law, we will make legislation.
Just your quick thought on Amy Coney Barrett. I mean, we remember some Republicans nominated judges, and they did not go exactly conservative, did they, Ben?
The Chief Justice being the prime example. Look, Frank makes a very excellent point, and that is that conservative judges will uphold laws that are liberal laws because if they don't find something in there that's blatantly unconstitutional. Liberal justices will try to overturn conservative laws and try to write their own versions of the law in the process. And that is the difference. And so it's the field is tilted strongly against conservatives because, as I said, conservatives will uphold liberal laws. So it's a great point by Frank in the reality. On the case of Amy Coney Barrett, I really, listening to her, and I think I heard just about every minute of her testimony in front of the Senate committee, I really think she is in the same mold as Antonin Scalia. She is going to be a solid conservative.
All right, and on that note, we've got to get out of here. We're up against the gun. Coming up, the Great Reset. We'll be back.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.
matter how ugly the situation. Turn that problem property into cash right now. It's just that simple. One call and you can get rid of that home headache forever. They buy the ugliest houses with instant closings, instant cash, and huge savings. Plus, there are no realtor fees, no listing fees, and no repair costs. Just cash in your hands for that painful property. They're buying a few more houses in your neighborhood this month. So take advantage of this cash offer and call Quick Cash Offer now.
855-296-8854. 855-296-8854. That's 855-296-8854.
Listen carefully. If your student loan debt is overwhelming you and things seem hopeless, we've got great news.
If you're still struggling with your student loan debt, there are government programs available that may actually lower your payments by consolidating your federal student loans. Just call us. We'll review your situation and work with you to consolidate your debt. In many cases, depending on your situation, we can lower your monthly payments in half or more. It doesn't matter how much you owe or how far behind you are. Even if you're in default, call us right now to find out how we can lower your payment in half immediately. You can stop the harassing phone calls and the wage garnishments. All you need to do is pick up the phone and call us right now. We can remove your default status, consolidate your federal student loans, lower your payments, and we can do it today. Stop worrying. This is a real solution that can help. So please call us right now.
Call 800-917-8671.
Are you over the age of 50? Want peace of mind and financial security for your family? Here's an important message to you and all seniors from the Final Expense Insurance Hotline. The average funeral costs about $7,000, even more. And the most government benefits will pay your family is only $255. That leaves your loved ones with a burden of paying your debts and funeral costs. Our plans start as low as $1 per day and will pay up to $30,000 for your funeral and other final expenses. There's no medical exam and you'll have lifetime coverage. Plus, your rates will never increase and your plan cannot be canceled regardless of your medical condition as long as you make your premium payments. Get free information right now. Just answer a few simple questions and get approved right over the phone in just a few minutes. Call right now.
Call 855-221-7334.
Do you have an idea for an invention, but you don't know what to do next?
How do you get in front of companies or get a patent?
Call InventHelp. They've been helping inventors just like you for 35 years.
And thousands of people contact them every month.
With 65 offices, you can meet with an InventHelp representative near you who will keep your idea confidential and explain their invention process step by step. InventHelp has helped over 10,000 inventors get patents. And they offer 3D animations and prototyping services to help demonstrate your idea. InventHelp's exclusive databank includes over 9,000 companies who have agreed to confidentially review new ideas.
Knowing that you'll respect them in the morning with intelligent talk that stimulates.
Welcome back to Inside the News, and this is our Picking Up the Pieces segment. Frank Vernew Show and Ben Brunson, myself, Guy Wayman. The Great Reset. This topic has got Ben so jacked up, he's not, it's hard to contain him, and he's missing his third cup of coffee this morning, although I think he's on Diet Coke. I don't know what he's drinking today. But anyways,
Zevia now.
What is it?
Zevia.
Oh, it's the new Zevia thing. There we go. All right, Ben, the Great Reset. Go.
Look, everyone's hearing this phrase, the Great Reset. It's trending. A lot of people trying to research it. It has a very real and tangible meaning. This is the progressive, globalist, anti-capitalist agenda writ large that is being led by a guy named Klaus Schwab, who is a German, who is the founder of the World Economic Forum. And he has many proponents of this concept of destroying capitalism, destroying free markets, and having a global elitist community that decides what is best for everybody And so, for instance, destroys the carbon-based energy market and brings about clean energy for the good of humanity. All of the things that, these sayings that are used to justify totalitarianism and totalitarian regimes and thinking. It is a new totalitarian wave. And there are a lot of people who believe in this. You see the tech industry, leaders and CEOs are on board with this agenda because, of course, they view themselves as being on the winning side of this and having control at the end of the day. But this is a monster that is a belief system that's horrible. It is literally a totalitarian vision of the world, 1984 writ large, and it is coming at you. And with Biden in the White House, again, continue on the theme of earlier, we will have a subservient United States instead of an assertive United States. And that's when these progressive ideologies flourish.
Elitocrats, and I kind of came up with that name, and maybe it's already been out there, I don't know. But Frank, elitocrats is pretty much what they want to be.
Everything old is new again. Let's go back in history. If you look at Europe, for most of its tenure since the fall of the Roman Empire, the establishment of the Middle Ages and so forth, right up and pretty much until World War I, a small group of families, interrelated, ruled the continent. The kings and queens of England and Germany and Russia, Spain and so forth were all interrelated. They were elites who decided everything that would go on in their countries in terms of trade, in terms of personal freedom or lack thereof. Well, we no longer have guys walking around in crowns and lion skin coats and all that sort of thing, but we've replaced the exact same concept of the royal families ruling the world with the new elites. So now the European Union leaders, the fellows like Strauss, they're not going to be calling themselves kings and queens, but in essence, they have revived the monarchical concept of leadership that we had happily did away with in the last century. It's back again. And with that coming back again, it destroys the concept of individual citizens and individual citizen rights. Because after all, you unwashed, filthy peasants, you don't really know what's right. You're too stupid to understand what's good for you. So we, the royal elite, will lead you and guide you.
Look, Frank is dead on. You had the family rule for over 1,000 years in Europe. And when you had a series of revolutions, starting with the French Revolution, inspired by the American Revolution, but you had a series of revolutions, the Revolution of 1848. What you saw in replacement of these families were a series of dictators, whether it was Napoleon or Franco or Mussolini or Hitler or Stalin. You went through that phase, and only in the last 70 years have you had, because of the intervention of the United States, and solely, I would add, because of the intervention of the United States, have you had the U.S. style of the U.S. concept of the right of the individual being above the right of the state take hold in Europe. But that is at risk with this elitist, these elitocrats, as you say, Guy, who want to take charge again. They want to rule in a shadowy way, in a supranational way, and control the economy and thereby control you, control your rights, take away your rights to freedom and everything else. And that's what's on their agenda.
All right. We're going to leave it there at this segment, but we're going to come back. We're going to talk about SpaceX. And this is some good news to end up the program here as we put a bow on it. Frank Venuccio, Ben Brunson, myself, Guy Wayman. We'll be back.
By the way, I'll add this. Another company that knew full well 3 weeks ago the results of their trial, just like Pfizer, and Moderna, in their case, had $3 billion of money that Trump got into their hands to fund their research and their ramp up of production. And again, they knew the results of that vaccine trial were fully known 3 weeks ago. And of course, they kept their mouths shut.
One of the first things that the Trump administration did very, very early on, I think it was actually in late January, just days after the inauguration, the Trump administration began to attack FDA regulations, which were holding back the speed with which new drugs could come onto market. And Operation Warp Speed was essentially the follow-on to that. Yet you won't find anyone in the media saying, hey, this new drug, 94% effective, is coming on the market. What a great triumph for the Trump administration attack on the regulators. I am stocking up on Pepsid because in January, after the inauguration, if Biden wins, and this drug starts getting to the market, we're going to hear how wonderful it is. Biden got into office, and all of a sudden, COVID is receding. All hail Joe Biden.
Right.
Yeah, and we're all going to have acid reflux as a part of that. Welcome back to the program. Glad to have you with us, and that's just a portion of what's going on here. And Frank, as Ben mentioned, Moderna, they knew full well what was going on here, and they could have announced that before the election. They did not want to because they were in the everybody's in everybody's pocket except Donald Trump, and that's why they don't like him, because he's willing to stand up for America. In just a couple of minutes, let's have a feel-good moment here with SpaceX. Go.
Well, America returns to space again. SpaceX launched 4 astronauts. By the way, no one's mentioning the fact that America never launched that many astronauts at one time, and that was a real accomplishment. One of the reasons I am so excited about the success of SpaceX and the coming success of Boeing with their craft is that we are facing another down point in the American manned space program in terms of NASA. President Obama did everything possible to castrate the manned space program. He essentially destroyed it. And now we are seeing the private sector coming into its own. It might be the only game in town after Biden, if he gets elected, takes funds, as Obama did, from the manned space program and puts them into climate change and all that type of research. So this is a really exciting step forward. I equate it, by the way, with how America began as a great nation. You know, if we had to wait for bureaucrats in Washington to say, go west, then we might still be 13 colonies sitting on the eastern seaboard of the United States. But it was individual pioneers who went west, got those Conestoga wagons, went west, didn't ask for government permission. They just did it. And they made this nation a continental superpower. Now we see SpaceX, we see Boeing. There are a few others that are starting to get into the field. Thank God for them, because we're facing, under a potential Biden presidency, another 4 years of sucking funds out of the manned space program of NASA and putting it into left-wing programs like climate change nonsense.
Millionaires and billionaires like rockets. And just as we have Musk with his SpaceX, and then we have Bezos with Orion, they love their rockets. And I think there's so much money here behind it that there may be a little pushback here, Ben.
Maybe, except success speaks for itself. So the fact is that Elon Musk, SpaceX, has done an incredible job of modernizing space launches and lowering the cost of space launches. It's really remarkable when you watch, for instance, the latest launch, and you look at mission control at SpaceX and how clean and uncluttered and simple it all is. Everyone with their flat screen TVs in front of them. Versus watching Apollo 13 and what mission control looked like 20, 30, 40 years ago. So it's really quite a change, very modern technology, and success speaks for itself.
You know, we've been there to Mission Control in Cape Canaveral. When you take that tour and you see what happens when they launch those, and you see those consoles that they're sitting at, and Ben, that's what you're talking about. Literally how it seems like how archaic they are, but yet they were able to do so much with so little.
Well, you know, they were using cutting edge 60s technology. The problem is they relied on that technology up until just the last 10 or 15 years. So it's been the private sector has really led the modernization of space travel and space flight. And it's a big win, just like the Operation Warp Speed and the public-private partnership has been a big win for the country.
Okay, one more thing here, or your hot button topic. Frank, go.
For over 100 years, socialism, wherever and however it's been applied, has been an absolute disaster. It has impoverished nations. It has eliminated individual rights. It's been a disaster. It is astounding that now you have an entire party which might have captured the White House, we still don't know, might have captured the White House, that is now going to rule the United States for 4 years until the next presidential election. I guess it's because universities have stopped teaching our young people how to think and how to understand history. It's a disaster in the making. Hopefully it can change. It's going to be up to, I think, individual parents to demand that students get real history, real civics, and not left-wing propaganda.
All right. Thank you so much, Frank. Ben Brunson in the bottom, your hot button topic.
Well, among the missions of the left-stream media is, of course, the eradication of anything pro-Trump and any news story that favors Donald Trump. One such news story is that the Israelis killed Abdullah Ahmad Abdullah, the number 2 person in Al-Qaeda, the number 2 living person. This happened in August in a suburb in Tehran. The information and intelligence on where he was supplied by the United States. Israel has the operatives who work inside Iran, and they do engage in assassinations there. And so we killed the number 2 guy at Al-Qaeda. Well done, cost this country nothing. We didn't have to send SEAL Team 6 out in the middle of in a risky mission somewhere. The Israelis handled business for us. And so that's a big success for the United States, a big win, buried by the press.
Yeah. Abdullah could have been named Jack if it was here in the United States. Hey, Ben, thanks.
Thank you, Guy. Thank you, Frank. Thank you to our listeners, and happy Thanksgiving.
And thanks. Oh, yeah, that's right. A quick Thanksgiving thought here, Ben, before I go to Frank.
Well, enjoy your family this year, and don't listen to the BS coming out of the left wing. Go enjoy a family reunion.
Absolutely. And Frank, hey, thanks. Good as always, your little Thanksgiving wish.
Well, Thanksgiving won't be very familiar in New York without the Macy's Thanksgiving Day Parade. And of course, our elected officials who are trying to tell us we can't even celebrate with our own families. Folks, do you need more of a clear example of tyranny than that?
I think what we ought to do is have those balloons with masks over their mouths. That'd be great. All right. That does it for all of us here. We're going to see you again next week when we once again go inside the news.
You're listening to Wayman, Brunson, and Vernuccio, Inside the News.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
Broken AC, $4,600. Water heater, $1,500. Fridge on the fritz, $1,000. You need home warranty coverage from the Home Service Club for around $1 a day. If any of your covered appliances and systems break down, HSC will either repair or replace them.
HSC provides coverage of up to 47 different appliances and systems in your home.
I trust HSC.
HSC has over 15,000 pre-screened, highly rated technicians with the fastest response time in the industry. They cover everything from ACs, stoves, fridges, pool pumps, and more. Call the number on your screen now for a free no-obligation quote from a trusted HSC specialist about a home warranty for your entire home, backed with a 30-day money-back guarantee. Call now and get 1 month free plus $75 off your first year of coverage. 1 month free and $75 off your first year. The Home Service Club.
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for dental visits. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for transportation to my doctor. Did you?
I didn't know some Medicare Advantage plans may pay to have my prescriptions delivered directly to my home. Did you?
These and more are important benefits some Medicare Advantage plans may give you. So if you're eligible for Medicare, call us right now because you may be eligible to enroll in a plan with amazing additional benefits. Some Medicare Advantage plans may pay for services like these: dental visits, vision coverage, hearing coverage, home delivery of drugs, even gym memberships. Some plans may include no copays for many services and 0 deductibles. Don't wait to find out if you're eligible to enroll in a plan that may include some of these wonderful benefits you deserve. Call us right now. The call is free, the information is free, and there's no obligation. Make this free call now to learn if you're eligible to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan that may include additional benefits you want. Call us right now.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, we can give you a way to pay as little as $2 a pill. Compare that to prices as high as $60 per tablet. Call now with your prescription and pay as little as $2 a pill. We offer 24/7 service and always free delivery and confidential packaging. Call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.